Are you wondering what you can still grow into the fall in milder regions? In this video, I'm going to show you 5 vegetables that I'm still growing in the fall months in my fall vegetable garden. So I'm sitting here next to my still a little bit wet beet patch. The dew is still on the leaves, so I'm getting a little bit of a wet back here. But basically, my beets are doing really well. They were planted a little bit earlier in the summer, but they're now basically growing into the fall. And not only do we get these beautiful green leaves, but then of course when the beets mature, we get these beautiful roots of different colors, and they're so sweet and taste so great. Better than anything you can probably buy in the store. So I will show you very close up what we might find hidden under all these green leaves in terms of actual beets. So as you can see, I have quite the patch of beets. And they're actually surrounded by this beautiful marigold that sort of helps to keep some of the bugs away. And the beet greens, of course, we can eat, and I've been putting them in my smoothies. They're pretty dense here, so let's have a look and see if we can actually find one that's getting bigger. You can see that they're fairly small still, so these will grow more. I probably will maybe thin them out a bit, just try and get them to get a bit bigger. And again, I can just harvest them for greens and pull out the whole plant, and then we can actually get bigger beets. And they're different oh, hold on a second, we found one. There we are. Okay, there's a nice big one. So you can see ones on the edges are getting bigger, and that one is ready to harvest. We don't want to get it too big, it might get woody inside. So there's a mix of these golden beets, as you can see, with the yellow, slightly yellow stems, and then there's the red ones. So this is a mix of beets, different colors, slightly different tastes, but they're all usually getting quite sweet, especially if they get a little bit of frost too. The other vegetable that I grow in the fall are peas. You can see that we've even got some flowers coming. And so we'll be able to harvest these and use them in things such as fried rice, or throw them into a harvest soup, which is something that you'll want to probably eat on a cool fall day to kind of warm yourself up. And you can throw other things in there such as onions and so forth. But the peas will be a good addition to that. And also we've got some snap peas growing over here. And for those of you that can only garden in containers, such as on an apartment balcony, we've got peas growing in a 5-gallon bucket, which I also showed in a video of how to actually plant one up and how to make a very simple bamboo trellis tied up at the top. And the peas will be happily climbing up. And I can always move this into a more sheltered location, such as even my greenhouse, which is right next door here, if I find that they need more protection from the elements. But this is a great way to grow peas in literally this maybe 2-foot square space. Before I show you the other 3 veggies, let me know in the comments below what you're still growing into the fall, or what you'd like to still grow into the fall. So carrots here can also do quite well in the fall, and in the cooler temperatures at the end of August I found that they actually sprouted better because they're getting a little bit more moisture. And the great thing about the carrots is that until you actually get a hard frost, they'll do quite well, and you can always cover them up if you need to keep the hard frost off of them, so that you can actually harvest them all winter. They might not grow too much, but you can at least harvest them even when they're a bit smaller and use them. Let's take a closer look at both the baby carrots that are just behind me here, and then the mature carrots that we're still actually harvesting that were planted earlier in the summer. So yeah, we'll just pan over this carrot crop, and as you can see, the plants are still very small, but keeping in mind that I did just seed them maybe about a month ago. And keep in mind too that they might need protection if we start getting frost, but we usually don't get frost until the end of October, maybe November even. So they'll be just fine the way they are. Any of the ones that might not be deep enough, you can just kind of push down a little bit here so that they're a little bit deeper. And as you can see over here, got these ones. These ones were planted before the summer, and as you can see, they're getting quite fat. They're kind of pushing themselves out of the soil, and they're now ready to be harvested. We'll just harvest them as we need them, and then that'll give these guys then a chance to grow, and we'll be able to eat these hopefully maybe in a month or two. So turnips are one crop that I actually really like growing in the fall. Not only do we get nice greens, we also get some nice white fresh turnips. So the reason why I like growing turnips actually in the fall, and I start the seeds in about maybe early August, is because in the spring we tend to have more bugs and we have problems with the turnips getting damaged. And also sometimes in the spring we tend to get some really hot days, which can cause them to actually bolt and set seed way before we can actually harvest them and actually use them. So in fall we tend to have less pests, we tend to have a bit cooler temperatures, which they seem to prefer, and so growing them in fall we tend to have less problems. So I'll show you now what they actually look like close up. So here's a turnip patch close up, and as you can see we got lots of green leaves, and keep in mind that the turnip greens you can actually eat. Tastes great in a stir fry. And then if we come down here, where are they? There they are. So we've got a couple of decent sized turnips. I just kind of brushed away some of the soil so you can see them better. And you can see they're fattening up quite nicely. These don't get too big. They stay fairly small, but they're really tasty. And over here we've got some smaller ones, and the yellow leaves you can just peel off as you see them. Keeps sort of the bugs away. There's another one. Let's get rid of those ones, and as you can see there's a few smaller ones, and there's some of them are tight together. I did actually plant them fairly tight together, but I think not all the seeds came up. So you can see there's another one. That one's fattening up nicely. So we're going to have a nice turnip harvest in the fall now. Before I show you the last of the 5 veggies in this video that I grow in the fall, I'd like to take the opportunity to provide you with some information on Seed to Table. Seed to Table is a membership for families who are wanting to grow food at home, with monthly live master classes, a monthly digital magazine, group coaching, a community forum, and a series of self-paced courses. Seed to Table provides you with the information and the support that you need to have a thriving family food garden that fits into your busy lifestyle. To learn more about Seed to Table, check out the Seed to Table tour here, or see the link in the description for the info page and where you can register for Seed to Table. So because we have green onions growing in a few different places, I'll show you a few different ways that we grow them in a few different varieties. So this one here is called Kincho. It's actually a Japanese variety. As you can see, they're very, very fat. I'll just put my finger here so you can see. They get very fat. Now, we do have a little bit of problem with this rust, this onion rust that is happening. And so what we just do is we just literally remove the ones that are showing the signs of the rust, and then that way it doesn't spread to the others. And as we see the ones that are starting to develop rust, we just remove them. And we don't actually remove the whole plant. We just literally pull off or cut off these spears, and we use those. We don't worry too much about the white part on the bottom. We leave it. Now you could harvest them at the very bottom by snipping them off, and then new growth will start from the middle again. But we prefer just using the green part, which we use in a lot of Japanese dishes such as miso soup and maybe stir fries. So this variety, like I said, is very, very big, and they get fairly tall too. If I pan out a little bit, as you can see. So in this bed with tomatoes and celery, we've got also some Egyptian walking onions grown here, and they're actually doing quite well. I kind of cleaned them up a little bit and tore out the, oh, there's another one. So these kind of ones which have died off, you can just pull out carefully, or not. There we go. See, they're kind of dead. So you just clean those up. But basically, we've got more green onions than here that, again, we can pick, and you can actually also pick and freeze them if you want. Just pick them, clean them, and then chop them up into the sizes you want, and then just freeze them in a bag, and you can kind of break off bits of them. You can see some of them are getting pretty long here. Whoops. Got a tomato leaf in the way. Okay, so that one is a nice big long one. And this planter anyways is kind of a demo planter of what you can actually grow in just like a 1x4 foot planter. You can see we've got lots of tomatoes as well growing still. They won't grow into the fall necessarily, but they'll at least hang around for maybe another month or so. And then, yeah, we've got lots of green onions here. Probably too much, but better than having not enough. So this is another example of growing in containers. As you can see here, we've got some green onions. These are the Egyptian walking onions, I believe, again. And we're growing them in a fairly shallow container. They don't need much space for their roots. And these are located just outside our kitchen door, which makes it super simple with a pair of kitchen scissors to just snip off a few of the green onions and chop them up, throw them into miso soup, or throw them into a stir fry or fried rice or something. Even in winter when you don't feel like going out into the garden, it's close by, easy to grab. You don't need to put on shoes or a rain jacket, and you can just collect them. So as you can see, growing vegetables into the fall does require a little bit of planning with seeding while the weather is still warm enough in the late summer. But a fall vegetable garden continues to provide healthy, fresh, homegrown food for your family. Now, if you live in an area that gets an early frost, you may need to consider using season extensions to keep your crops going well into the fall and maybe even early winter. And I'll cover that in future videos where I'll show you how to use season extensions for raised beds such as these ones, but also for containers. Plus, I have some other veggies that I'm also still growing into the fall that you probably got glimpses of in the video. And I will show more from those vegetables when I post my next urban homestead tour sometime in mid-October. So make sure you're subscribed to be notified of when that video comes out. And if you have any questions about these crops, especially about growing them, then let me know down below in the comments and I'll answer your questions for you. And also check out this other video where I showed you how to make that 5-gallon container growing peas with the bamboo trellis. Thanks for watching, and I wish you all the best with your fall garden and your fall harvest.